You are now listening to Mike's Opinion, Logic Unleashed.
That's right. You are now listening to the Mike's Opinion podcast. Thank you so much for listening and watching. If you do so on YouTube, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, follow, do all that. I appreciate your support as always. Before we even get started, this app right here, not recommended for the young ones. Not recommended for the young ones. Okay? Adult content most of the time anyway. I usually don't use that much profanity, but the subject matter here is really not for my young people out there. So I, would recommend 18 and up. So if you got young ones, go to a lighter episode. Always try to keep it light. But there's a reason for this episode. And I titled it, Does God Exist? Many reasons why. I always do research for these episodes, so I got some things coming up, and I'm not trying to make anybody feel uncomfortable. What the whole point of this episode really is to help us think, feel, emit positivity into the ether, into the cosmos, into the air, towards each other. Because some of the things going on, not just now, during my lifetime and your lifetime, but historically, on Earth, when I think back of the cruelty and insanity, it just makes me ask the question, does God exist? And hold up. I'm not judging any of the faithful out there, any of the believers out there, because I too, my family and I believe in a higher power. Something had to create this. I could create a baby because I can only go half on that. It takes two, a man and a woman, to create a baby. Yeah, there's test tube babies. I think of Robin Harris when I say that every time. Rest in peace, Robin Harris, the comedian. And cloning, who knows what's going on in laboratories across this planet and maybe outside this planet. They talk about the hybridization of humans and aliens, and that humans might be hybrids already. I can't make a cloud. I can't even touch a cloud unless I'm on a mountain somewhere that's happens to be elevated enough. I can't make a tree. Okay. I'm not even talking about touching a star or leaving the earth. We're still in the infancy, really, in that. To my knowledge, there may be people leaving the planet all the time. There's a very powerful person of an aerospace company who once said, we now have the technology to take ET home. Who knows? We, the GA, right? The GP, the general population. Maybe some of you that listen or watch may be privy to stuff. I'd like to know. And if I need to keep it secret for whatever reason, I've had top secret security clearance in the past. Okay, I don't know when it expired. I'm assuming it's expired. So, they might say, yo, Mike, this ain't one of your normal happy, laughy episodes. It's not, because some things I'm just real. If it's weighing on my mind, it might be weighing on yours. So when I ask the question, is God real? And it doesn't matter, there's so many beliefs, so many organized religions. It could be Allah, it could be Buddha, it could be Jesus. Some of y'all believe in Satan. Some of y'all believe in the multiple gods, like in India. Yahweh, Jehovah. There's so many belief systems out there, so many gods that we all pray to around the world. for lack of a better word, my family and I are on our knees every night. Every night. We don't miss a night. And we pray to God. We pray for our family, for our friends, for the world, peace, for everybody in the world. We pray for you every night. And I mean that. And, you know, a lot of people just say, have faith, just believe. I'm just, hi. Mike's Opinion Show at gmail.com or hit me up on any of the socials. How? How can I blindly believe if I'm made intelligently, right? And look, I went to parochial school, went to Catholic school, grade school and high school. You know, I'm well versed with the modified Bible and, you know, all of the tools that can be used to make you believe, but don't question. Have faith blindly. And with the Ten Commandments, it's cool, right? It's just normal good stuff. Don't steal, don't kill, don't adulter, you know, stuff like that. Seems to justify because it's good stuff, right? Um, I just don't know though. I can't say I know for sure. I choose by logic, and you know that's the motto of my show, right? Logic Unleashed, to come to the conclusion that no human that I know can make just not only this earth, but our planetary system, our galaxy, which has millions and billions of planets, stars, and then the millions and billions of other galaxies that exist in this ever so-called supposedly ever expanding universe. You say, yo, Michael, yo, Mike, you got these deep existential questions. Well, let me tell you what triggered this episode. You know, I usually tell you what prompted an episode. And by the way, I hope you listened to one of the more popular episodes last week. We just had sex. It was an episode with my wife and I, and it's one of my more popular episodes. So if you haven't ever checked that out, I re-released it last week while I was off. A couple things prompted this episode. Me recently learning about a 10-year-old giving birth. Yeah, you heard me correctly. A 10-year-old female giving birth. And the countless mass shootings. And one was real close to home about a month or so ago now. You know, I'm from New York City, born and raised, but I live in Texas now, suburb of Dallas. And I read the news every day because I want to stay abreast. I can't be an ostrich. I can't stick my head in the sand. I can't ignore, even though the news, the bad news, you know, they focused on Trump, who went to trial yesterday. Or not to trial yesterday, went to court in Miami, you know, pleaded not guilty. They hit up the Cuban restaurant. They said that was a slick move, but these, what's wrong with humans? Let's start there. But it's not just humans. There's defects in nature. There's these flaws in nature. Like there's a spider, after the male and female has sex, the female eats the male. What? What's wrong with human beings though? But I'm not really even getting into our personal um drama and troubles and just being just messed up. because humans are full of errors and things. But I'm talking about just, you know, why is it even physically possible for a 10-year-old to have a baby? I don't understand that. From a physical standpoint, that's a flaw in our design. The makers, God, whoever you want to call it, and it missed me with that God don't make mistakes, because apparently he or she or it does. So what you just don't understand is the butterfly effect and all these things. They happen because it's beyond my comprehension why these atrocities and these horrible things happen. No, no. Isn't it insulting that if you have a being that's going to make you, that you can't be equal to them? Like when I have kids, and I have kids, I have grandkids. See the gray hair? I got grandkids. Um, but not only do I want to bring them up to the same level of intelligence, I hope they surpass and learn more than I do. You ever, I'm assuming if you've grown, you ever reach that point in adulthood and you go, okay, the student has become the teacher, that kind of situation. Well, I guess I could hypothesize and say, well, we have to live like so many lifetimes before we enlightened. But then that would mean reincarnation is real, right? Which I don't rule that out either. Um, when I was doing the research for this episode, okay, I started going down the wormhole, down the rabbit hole, like I always do. And like on the top of my list, like I said, what triggered this was, why 10-year-olds can have babies. And I came across something so horrible. I'm just going to tell you this. When you get the time, search Lena Medina. This child gave birth at 5 years old. You heard me right. She was almost 6. 5 years old. 1930s. It's well documented. Says she suffered from precocious puberty, which is very early puberty, which can happen and seems to be happening more and more. Why? Why is this even possible? How is this not a flaw? How is this not a mistake? Apparently, they were raped, and my heart goes out to any rape victim, those who have suffered. I feel for you, and I wish it never happened to you. Um, but I started going down this rabbit hole, and uh, you know, I put on the list asparagus. Like asparagus got to be a mistake, right? Because ew, and it turns your urine like neon yellow. Like what's why? And it stink when you pee. Why? Up until recently, I was the same. I felt the same way about um avocados, but my wife has changed my life with her homemade guacamole, which is delicious, and now I like it. But I don't think that's ever gonna happen for asparagus or Brussels sprouts. I think there are ways of space on planet Earth, but that's just me. And why don't we have interchangeable body parts? Who came up with that? Huh? It would be nice. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to just name a few things here. You can look them up in your own time. And I just want to prepare you if you do look these up. If you're squeamish, don't. Because nowadays we live in a visual world with video and pictures. There are pictures out here for all of these conditions. So beware. Cyclopia is exactly what it sounds like. Cyclops. And it happens. There are children born with one eye. Conjoined twins. Every so often, we see one in the news because they're going to try to separate them. And conjoined twins, in case you don't know, are two people that are born fused together, joined together. And they can be joined at the shoulder, at the chest, at the rear end. They can have, there's like, when I tell you I went down the rabbit hole, yo, people that are joined at the stomach, they have no legs, no reproductive organs, nothing. People that are joined at their head. God don't make no mistakes. Tell them that. I need to stop right here for a second. And I need to tell you, this is not an advocacy for Satan or the devil. I'm not here to make you or try to sway you or convince you to disbelieve in God. Because, like I said, I believe in God, for lack of a better word, or a higher power, a creator or creators. I don't know. And because I am who I am, I can't subscribe to the stories in the Bible or the Quran or the Ichi or any of these holy books and these organized religions. I got too many questions. But I just need to make sure you know, Satan ain't got a hold of me or evil, any negativity. I'm not trying to convince you that God don't exist. I'm not saying that. I am not saying that. And it may be true. Maybe all this is beyond my understanding, but I don't claim to be smart enough to create a universe or even a planet or a tree or a leaf. Like say, yo, Mike, make a leaf. I cannot make a leaf and make it grow and make it alive because plants are alive. So who or whatever did this had to be powerful. Now there are some, the atheist groups, the scientists, and people like that, that they believe there was none of this. This is just a matter. It's a matter of matter coming together, matter and energy, and there was millions of years, and Darwin's evolution of species, and it just is. There's nothing, nobody, no conscious, intelligent entity created any of this. It just happened to be here, big bang from nothing to something. And I don't subscribe to that shit neither. I don't know. But I just wanted to let you know. You might be like, yo, evil got a hold of Michael. Mike ain't on that. Okay, I believe in something. I believe in good. Anybody that follows my podcast, and thank you for doing so, knows I'm a good man, I'm a good human. I mean, I wish there was no violence, no war, no hatred. And I don't live with any hatred in my heart. And I love everyone, even the people that hate me. So if this ain't that, I felt compelled to tell you that. I felt obligated to tell you that. This is not that. I'm not trying to convince anybody not to believe in God or that God doesn't exist. In fact, I'm just asking the question. And I've had this conversation before with others. They say the proof is all around you. People say that about aliens, right? The proof has been here. And they say, the miracle when your child is born, or, a rainbow, or, you look at the Grand Canyon, or these awe-inspiring things, and that's evidence that God exists. I can't say it ain't. And maybe God or the gods or whoever or whatever made this didn't want to give us a perfect planet, didn't want to give us a perfect utopia. It's perfectly balanced in our solar system so we don't burn up and we don't freeze. So I guess that's a start, right? Um, there's an endless supply of food and water for a lot of people. It's not all people. All people don't have clean water. All people don't have healthy food or food. So this is why I'm asking these questions, because why couldn't it be utopia? And if you believe in the Bible, in the Garden of Eden, and Genesis, and Adam was chilling, just Adam, had the whole planet, was vibing with the animals, felt lonely. Here came Eve. Eve messed it up. And I heard a lot of females, I've had this argument. I have never heard one female acknowledge that it was Eve's fault. But to my knowledge and my understanding of the Bible, the Holy Bible, and Christianity, Adam was chilling, never wanted to eat from the tree of knowledge. Here come Eve, start kicking it with the serpent, convinced Adam. And people will say, every female I talk to is like, yeah, well, Adam shouldn't have been weak. He shouldn't have been listening to Eve, blah, 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 blah. I'm not really even talking about that. I'm talking about the perfect planet where it was one dude. Like the planet was made for one dude. Is that the problem? It should have been for one dude, and we should have just accepted our loneliness and chill. Adam should have just chilled with the animals and lived out his life on Earth. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. Conjoined twins is a mistake. And if you happen to have conjoined twins that are leading a healthy, happy, and productive life, show me, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. Maybe even interview you on a future episode. I haven't seen any that. I mean, some of the pictures I saw, they had smiles. And I guess if you're born like that, that's all you know. It seems cruel, though. Marfan syndrome, mermaid syndrome. Yes, it's a thing where people are joined with their legs fused together in a tail. Proteus syndrome. I mentioned precocious puberty. SCID, which is an acronym, and it's the boy in the bubble syndrome, people born with no immune systems. Mistakes after mistakes after mistakes. And while each one of them on their own are rare, they all add up to people suffering. Lesch-Nyhan syndrome, epidermodysplasia. If you look these up, prepare yourself. Like I said, brace yourself. Okay. If you're squeamish, don't do it. Hypertrichosis. Now, this is the one. Hypertrichosis is where people are covered in hair. And they say it's a 1 in a billion situation. Growing up in New York City, I saw a boy and a girl regularly that suffered from hypertrichosis. And when I tell you, I never saw them without their parents, but they was outside and entire head, arms covered, covered in hair. And when I read the odds about that, I knew it definitely had to be rare. I'd never seen anybody else personally, but I realized how rare it was to see that. I never spoke to them, and there was plenty of albino people that I saw. Well, not plenty, but I saw my fair share of albino people in New York too. There's millions and millions of people there, so I guess it's just the odds. There's trimethylaminuria, which is fish odor syndrome. It's like body odor times a million, where people like are super super stinky. So um I've heard many times, God don't make no mistakes. These are mistakes, in my opinion. Let me know what you think about all of this, because I'd love to hear from you. Again, you can find it in the show notes, but my email is mikesopinionshow@gmail.com, or hit me up on any of the socials, or just, put your comments on the YouTube or wherever, because I'm a thinker. I think, and I feel. And when I read stories about 10-year-olds having kids, 5-year-olds having kids, and, people just, these hateful, evil people just going out in churches and grocery stores and malls and movie theaters and everywhere, and just pulling out and just killing, ending people's lives. And I'm not even talking about the accidents, the wars and the car accidents and all the atrocities that happen on a daily basis. If you were making a planet and you were inhabiting it with humans or your creations, would you make it like this? I wouldn't. If I love what I created, if I loved and cared for the creatures that I created as I do my children, I wouldn't give them a world like that. The Nautilus. You ever seen a Nautilus swim? They can swim all kind of directions, but they look kind of crazy. You know, there's some other things that I had here. Like most sharks, like sharks that swim in the ocean, they lay eggs, but there are some that give live births. Some of these sharks grow teeth in the womb. And the first sibling or two to mature sometimes eats the other siblings before they're born. I almost said so. I saw something that's just so gross. I'm just gonna say dogs will eat anything. Puppies will follow behind another puppy and eat anything. That's a flaw, ain't it? Yo, the giraffe gives birth standing up. And when it does, the baby falls at least 5 feet to the ground. Whoever designed giraffes, don't you think it would be cool if they were sitting down or could squat or lay down? Some of them break their bones on the way down. Yo, uh, I got all these examples here. I'm just gonna tell you. I know, like I said, this is a more serious episode than what I'm used to, but I had to get this off my chest, my heart, and I had to share it with you. It'd be great if you give me your feedback. I'm not down. I'm not depressed. I'm just addressing these things, and this isn't new doubt for me. The question has always been there. Even when I was in grade school and they were breaking down the Bible and we go to church, I'm like, yo, this really didn't add up to me. So this is not a new question to me. Does God exist? And I'm not, I mean, no disrespect and no insult to anyone that chooses to put their faith wherever you want to put your faith in. I'm not trying to rattle that. I'm not trying to be an agent of doubt for anybody. I'm telling you how I feel, and I've always asked that question because logic lives in me. Maybe it shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't need to know how a car works. I should just drive it. Maybe I shouldn't know how the universe works, how the earth works. I should just live on it, be thankful for it, not ask questions. Not asking questions seems weird to me. It seems like there are things that I shouldn't know. And why shouldn't I know them? I need to reiterate one last time. I do believe in a higher power, whether that is a singular higher power or entity, multiple entities. I don't know whether that entity loves human beings or me, whether that the entity made us and left, or is omnipresent, or is ever present in everything. Everything is everything. um I don't know. What I do know though is that I hope you're doing all right. I usually say that at the beginning, but I just kind of dived right in today. I hope you and yours are doing okay. In fact, I hope you're doing better than okay. I hope you're doing excellent. If you got anything to chime in on this, like I said, I welcome it. I always ask to please support the show, please. If you can't or choose not to monetarily, which I do need your monetary support, you can contribute Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, or email me at MikeSpinningshow@gmail.com if you'd like to send me a sizable amount via mail. It would be greatly appreciated. You can also do so by giving your support by supporting the show. Like, share, comment, follow, subscribe, anywhere you listen and anywhere you don't. I'm all over the place. Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeart, wherever podcasts are heard. And if there's somewhere you listen to podcasts and you can't find the Mike's Opinion podcast, let me know, please, because I need to know so I can get on it. I hope you're all right. I hope you're doing good. And as always, I'm Mike. This is the Mike's Opinion podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much for listening to Mike's Opinion. Logic Unleashed.